Good evening. Welcome to our 2016 Stanley Race Skippers and Navigators briefing. We've got 20 minutes for this. We're going to keep it fairly short. It is, because there's so many people involved, we can't really have everyone on the microphone at once, otherwise we end up hearing everyone's dog and cat and family talking. We can unmute you if you need to talk, and encourage you to use the chat function to do that. So the key presenters tonight is really Simon Dryden, myself. We've got the start team online with Ray Shaw and hopefully Bruce Reedy. So let's just go questions via the mute function, see how we go. This is the first time for us doing it as a race briefing, so we would actually like people's feedback later to see whether you think it's a good idea or not. We are recording it. We are going to be putting a link to a recording of this on our website. Simon, do you want to talk to this?
Yeah, so looking good. We've had a couple of dropouts. We've had Blue Chip had some engine issues, so they're replacing the engine. They won't be with us, and Catabara 8 has had inclement weather causing them painting problems, so their boat's still on the hard. So generally the conditions are looking pretty good. Again, a bit light to begin with, but we'll let you know more about that. And Stanley, as we have gone to Portland in a couple of years, they're very enthusiastic to have us back. They've got the cool room organised, so the party's going to be very good, and we'll talk a bit later about when it would be a good time to see you come back home. So we'll just pop on to the next slide. Here it comes up, and if you just go one more slide, Martin. For a number of you, you will see that on the list that we've got up there on the website is you're not fully compliant. And if you look down that OK column, which you can see along there, that tells us whether you complied with everything. So you can see, for example, the Cunning Plan, it has issues with crew. If we look next at Alien, the radio voice check, but that's just come in, so that'll change that tonight. But the only one who's got a radio I know that I just got a latest update just a moment ago is Heartbreaker. He's the only one who hasn't done their radio check. But if you could follow that up, it's really important that we get all this compliance done. So if you have any issues, this will be up on the website not long after we finish, so you can go and have a look, and just make sure that you make this your priority.
Just on that, I was asked by Amanis, the crew details are very, very important. If there is something that happens or an incident, those crew details are incredibly important. So please take them seriously and please put those in.
All right, just things that you will know is I am the race director with Martin, the deputy. In the sailing instructions there is the phone number and the email address is available there. Again, the really big difficulty or the big change this race is that everybody has to get their position 35 minutes prior to the sked. And the reason that it's 35 minutes, it just makes it a round number so that you guys can get your alarm set to make sure you record your position. And the reason we're doing that is we've got 3 boats this time who are using satellite phones for communication. And so they need to send me those positions, and I need to be able to send those positions to Cordia. So when you listen on the radio at the sked time, you will hear all the boats' positions. So we're not doing it for any other reason than we need to make sure that all of the positions that you take are taken at a central time so that you've got good comparison positions for checking on how you're going in your race. Okay, we're moving on to the next one. The trackers, Ray, thank you very much for doing this. Ray has distributed all the trackers to all of the boats, and for boats that have not had their tracker put on the back of the boat because Ray had difficulty, they are in the office and the message has been sent to you explaining that fact. Ray has updated the software on the trackers, and there is little changes. When you turn it on, it doesn't immediately come to the first screen. You just need to wait a moment till it changes. The most important thing, the trackers will be on and up and running for the race, and you're welcome to keep the tracker for your return passage, and your nearest and dearest will be able to follow your track. But the most important thing for us is if you don't have the tracker in the office by Friday, it is going to cost you $50 because we have to pay extra on the plan if we don't have the tracker switched off by Friday. And we need the tracker in hand to switch off. So please remember is if you're going to use the tracker on the way home, you need to get it to the ORCV office by Friday. And if you don't want it, you can give it to Martin and I in Stanley.
Just a quick reminder, there is an SOS function on those trackers. So have a look at the Stanley website's got instructions on how to use the trackers. There is an SOS button on there. Press and hold it.
All right, sailing instructions, there's no changes at this stage. Everything is published and everything is as we expect. The only thing that we will do, there will be further weather updates, and we will be giving you an update on the actual depths that are in Stanley Harbour.
Any questions, you can put them through the chat. We'll open up for questions and answer at the end. We'll unmute everyone and see how we go. I'm not seeing any questions coming through in terms of chat, so I'll just keep going. The start.
All right, the most important thing here is, if you're not familiar, we now have a no-go zone in the heads. And this zone will be policed by the start boat, and the start boat will follow the fleet out. So if you do enter that no-go zone in any way, you will be penalised. So please make sure those points are put in your GPS or your plotter or whatever it needs, and you mark it and you make sure that your navigator is in a position to make sure that you keep out of the way. And we're not doing this for our own pleasure, but we share the harbour with the shipping traffic, and we needed to come to some arrangement because we were causing danger in prior situations. One of the things with Stanley can be quite difficult approaching at night time. So when you cross the finish line, make sure you are listening to your radio. Martin and I will tell you when you have crossed the finish line, and we will be able to help you with mooring when you get there. So please make sure you're listening to your radios, and we will chat to you as you cross the finish line. The tides are quite high. There's 2.5 metre difference between low and high tide. So when we get the harbour depth, we'll tell you exactly where that is, and as you finish, we'll advise you as to the height of the tide. So you'll have a very clear idea of what the height will be.
We've got a question come through from Chris. Will there be officials on the start boat? No. They are the Coast Guard.
Yeah, so the Coast Guard is the start boat, but Ray Shaw, who's online at the moment, will be monitoring the start, and he will conduct all the radio communications, and so he will be listening on the channels. So if you need to talk to him, he will be able to do that. Gary Tomlins, who is on the Coast Guard vessel, has been starting for the Ocean Racing Club for the last 10 or 12 years. So he's pretty experienced, and he will manage the start. And this time I will be talking to him, and so we don't have an issue which we had last time where we had an issue with the flare, is they will do a radio countdown for the timings for the start. So you'll be able to clearly hear when the start has started, because there will be the last 10 seconds counted down, so that you're very clear as to where we are in the start sequence.
So Stanley tides, we're done. We're chasing the datum. Moving on. Sorry, just bear with me. Moving on, we've got our weather.
All right, having a quick look at the weather, we're just going to run through this quite quickly. This is the synoptic situation for the start time. So as you can see, there's a broad belt of high pressure. The interesting thing is that the high that is in the Bass Strait, it could cause some interest with the winds. So if you look at that, that's around the start time. It's showing you got anticyclonic flow, and so there's a good chance of easterly winds. If we move on to the next one, this one is later that day after the start, and you can see the strong northerly flow that's established over the race course. Then moving along, this is on Sunday, and Sunday you will see, Monday, and you'll see this is after the front has passed through Stanley, and so the recommendation is that if you're looking at leaving, Monday is probably the safest time to do it, but we'll show you some more about that on the next slide.
Apologies, we just realised that it's cutting off the very bottom of the screen, which has got the labels on it.
All right, this is the METI, so we've just had a look at METI, and if you look up the top, that's for 2 p.m, and you can see that 2 a.m, and that's METI showing the easterly established. And moving along, and we're now moving to 11 a.m, and you can show here, you can see the easterly has established, and it's filled across the Bass Strait with a bit stronger wind down south. If we go to the next slide, you'll see this is at midnight on, or close enough to midnight on Saturday night. You'll see the easterly has moved more northeasterly, and so the wind should free for the course into Stanley. Moving to the next one. This slide is coming along, shows when the front moves through on Sunday night. The issue generally that I can tell you at the moment, which we'll see in a minute, is the models have not quite reached agreement. So we won't be able to give you a definitive answer to the weather, but that'll come more on Friday, but we'll keep you updated. So I'll send you SMSs and let you know when the weather has been updated on the website.
So just to be clear, this is 2 a.m. Monday.
Yes, 2 a.m. Monday, and so you wouldn't want to leave before that had passed if you could help it. And this is showing you
11 a.m.
It's 11 a.m. Monday. These things have moderated quite substantially and looking quite pleasant for a comfortable cruise home. If we look now at the predict wind models, for those who are interested in the tactics of the race, you can see it's a bit of a run line fest for two of the models, and some of the other models are thinking that you might look at moving to west of the run line to take best advantage of your speed, but this will be interesting as it plays out as we go along. If we look at the next slide, the features here, this is for a Beneteau first 40, so for those of you who know Wicked, this is what Wicked should do. The timing has got the Wicked finishing between 18 and 24 hours, so between 8 o'clock on Saturday night and more towards 1:30 on Sunday morning. The interesting thing with the slide here is it's talking about mostly a reaching race. Some models have some downwind in that, so I would think that my best guess it's going to be a reaching and running race. But the interesting thing is that if you look, well, you can't see it on this slide, but most of the race is spent between 18 and 20 knots of wind. So it looks like it's going to be very pleasant and a pleasant sail across Bass Strait. Coming up now is I've got some wind models that come from Predict Wind, and one of the reasons that I say you need to watch the wind is that you can see on this Predict Wind model it is showing that there are going to be westerlies rather than the METI, which say they're going to be easterlies. If we move along to the next one, the other thing to notice with the Predict Wind models is they predict that the northerly will be in at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. So those are the things that I'm not telling you which one's going to be right, but just so that you know, is the models that both the BOM use and Predict Wind are saying different things at this stage. Moving to the next slide, we'll get Martin to talk about when you get there.
Sure. Okay, so hospitality. Amanda's in the office and working with the Smiths and Lions have done a lot to try and make Stanley fun. So there's stuff that's being put on for you. There's a festival there the locals have put on, and we put the flyer on that on the Stanley page. There's sheds on the wharf which are going to have food and drinks. There's showers they've organised for crew at the caravan park. They've organised a band, food and drinks, and they've organised a bus for some of the competitors who may want to get back to Burnie Airport. It's an at-cost bus. I can't remember. It's something like $10. It was not not terribly much, but a direct line to the airport for those who do want to fly home. They wanted us to remind you that Vodafone mobiles won't work in Stanley. And at this stage, we're looking like a 1 p.m. presentation on the Sunday, but that could change. We'll let people know. We'll let people know through the SMS system to the skipper's mobile. Just going on to media for a minute. We bang on a bit about getting boat profiles and crew profiles and Top Yacht. It's probably the last thing you feel like putting in there, but it helps us enormously because we're trying to get people excited. We're trying to get the media excited. We're trying to get your families, your friends excited. They want to hear stories. They want to hear stories about you and who's doing it, names of crew, all that sort of stuff, and photos. So we really need that to help put stories up. And without your input, we find it very hard to do. So please use it. Please try and post. If you're posting something to do with Facebook, to your friends and things, just maybe tag it or send a link to us so we can see, and we can then we can tag to it as well. Or just email or SMS. Do something. Just try and get some content through. It'd be really appreciated, and it makes the story for the people that follow you so much more exciting. Returning home, we've mentioned it already. I'm just waiting on the slides to catch up. We're a bit of mother hen here at ISTV. We actually do look out for you guys and look after you. So what we do want you to do is to give us an SMS when you go back through the heads, and ideally one again once you're tied up. So we do worry about it. Humorous, just bang us that SMS. It's not a big deal. It just lets us know that you're safe back in. The trackers, if you want to take them home, that's great. Get them back to us, either to an ISTV representative directly, give them to them, or return them to the ISTV office. And we do that reminder about the end of the week and turn them off already. I'm going to unmute people, and we'll just take some time for some questions. This could get a bit chaotic, or it could be quite quiet. So I've unmuted you at our end, and you'll have to press the little green button up the top if you want to talk, or make it red if you don't want to talk. So we're just open to questions now.
How long can we leave the boats in Stanley if the weather really does kick in? Are we able to stay there for a few days?
Yes. No drama at all.
Okay, any other questions from anyone? Reminder, we are going to be putting this up on the web, so let people know, let your crew know if they want to listen in. Sorry, is that a question or just background noise? I couldn't tell.
I'll drive out and just run up the line. We can just get away. Ready to drive, guys?
Try again or type your chat. I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you. I'm sorry. All right. Look, guys.
Is there much arrangements about parking the boats when we get there? Because normally it's a bit of a schmozzle and jumping spots.
Yeah, there'll be two of us.
Keep it up.
We'll make sure that
All right, guys. Well, look, we'll listen in and stay on for anyone who's got some other questions. We'll wrap it up there. Thanks for your time. Hopefully you found it worthwhile. And we'll see you in Stanley.
Beautiful, thank you.
All right, thanks all. Thanks for today. And we'll see you in Stanley.